Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Josephine, for this. And let me welcome everyone to the webinar here, to the Capital Markets Authority webinar and CISI webinar. I think really the purpose of this webinar is just to expand the plan in terms of the capital markets skills that we want to expand in Rwanda, and also explain our partnership and our relationship with CISI. And I think Abi is well qualified to do that. They are an international certification body, which I think as a region, the whole of East Africa is not only Rwanda. Some markets have already moved a little bit ahead of us, so we are catching up, and we want to really catch up extremely quite faster. We have a rollout plan which we communicated to the market, and we have already issued some circulars from CMA in terms of what we want to do going forward and what are the other options that are available to do that. And Josephine will be in charge of the implementation of this memorandum of understanding with CSI. I think it is quite obvious that, even myself as a member of the National Skills Council on the Financial Services Center, it's important that as we build up Kigali as an international services center, we also recognize that it's quite crucial that we adopt some international best standards, and some of these best international standards are some certified, well-recognized qualifications like CSI. And it's also good to operate in a market that is actually skillful, or that have got some recognized skills, because a lot of international investors, especially, or even local investors, need to be sure that the people who are dealing with their investments are qualified enough to handle their investments. And I think it's a step in the right direction. Like I said, the whole of East Africa is actually moving into this regard. And I think the timetable that we have actually agreed with CSI, I think, will make Rwanda to leap forward in terms of qualification for the market. And I think for us as CMA, I think we're going to have to step up our level of enforcement for acquisition of the skills. And I think for more information that you might need as the market, I think we are always there to help you, to guide you, to assist you, to navigate the acquisition of this skill set that can help to build our market, and also enhance a lot of ethical and international standards, which are actually prerequisites for building an international financial services center. And also not only that, but also as a capital market, we also need people who are skilled enough to know what they are doing, to understand what they are doing, and also to demonstrate beyond reasonable doubt that they can actually grow with the market, and they can also operate in our market. I think that's the general aims and objectives of this program. We have elaborated it many times, but I'll leave more time for Abi to take it forward, and we can get going in that regard. With those few brief remarks, I'll welcome everyone to the webinar. And maybe I can hand back to you, Josephine, or to Abi to continue with the conversation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, CEO Tapero. You've summarized the key points of why we're here. And without taking so much of your time, I'll welcome Ms. Abi to take us through the requirements, or what this training and certification is all about. Welcome, Abi.
Thank you very much, Josephine, and also to CEO of the Capital Market Authority Rwanda, Mr. Tapelo. So I have prepared some slides, so allow me to share my screen. And whilst I do so, I will just give a brief introduction of myself. So as Josephine has rightly said, I'm a Senior Relationship Manager at the CISI, and my role focuses mostly on capacity building and strategic partnerships across Africa. And just to check that everyone can see my screen before I proceed. Perfect. So I thought what I would do is start by introducing the CISI, or the Chartered Institute for Securities and Investment, just so everybody online has a good background as to, who we are as an organization, I guess what our mission is, what our key pillars are, and how we operate, not only in Africa, but also globally. So, at the CISI, we champion education, lifelong learning, and integrity in our sector. And we do this by raising individual standards of knowledge, skills, and behavior globally to promote professionalism, accessibility, and sustainability, while also acting as an authoritative body for consultation and research, and thereby enhancing public trust and confidence in financial services. So the CISI actually evolved from the London Stock Exchange over 30 years ago. And our history was actually that we were the training arm of the London Stock Exchange. But because we were doing so much work within integrity and skills within the financial services sector, it was deemed that we were acting in the public interest. And so that's what enabled us 2 years after our inception to apply for charitable status. And so we are a non-profit, we're a registered charity, and also a chartered professional body. Our HQ is in London, so that's where I am based. But we have 217 staff and multiple international offices. So I have colleagues that work in Dubai in the Middle East to serve the MENA region. We have a small office in Nairobi to serve East Africa, India, Sri Lanka, and so on. We have 52,000 individual members at the CISI, and 23,000 of those members are students. So that means that there are 23,000 people who are actively partaking in our exams every year, and 44,000 exams are taken annually across the globe. As I mentioned, we are a charity, so our charitable objectives then are to promote, for the public benefit, the advancement and dissemination of knowledge in the field of securities and investment, to develop high ethical standards for practitioners in securities and investments, and then to promote those standards in the UK and overseas, and to act as an authoritative body in matters of education and public interest that are concerning our sector and concerning the investment and securities field. So the CISI then, I guess, is built on 3 core pillars. So number 1 is the knowledge, and that is gaining the initial competence to do your job through obtaining a professional qualification, internationally recognized, internationally portable, and sort of a level playing field. But as you advance throughout your career, and as we know, the sector, or the world even, is constantly developing. So a few years ago, everyone was talking about ESG and sustainable investment. And of course, that's still a very, very important topic. But now we're talking about digitalization and emerging technologies and AI, and how that's going to affect financial services and the world. And it's very important that practitioners remain abreast of these changes. And that they develop skills, in order to remain competitive in a fast-growing environment. And so being a member of the CISI means you gain access to continuous professional development, resources, and ongoing learning. And so it's a way of nurturing and growing the initial skills you gained through the professional qualifications and nurturing them all the way throughout your career. And CPD is very important to maintain that competence. And then the final pillar then is behavior. And so that's ethics and integrity. And really that should be at the core of everything that we do as financial services practitioners. And so when you sign up to be a member of a professional body such as the CISI, you're signing up to a code of conduct and ethical behaviors. CISI's international strategy then, and sort of how we work with, the global financial services sector, is relatively simple. We like to collaborate. As I mentioned, we are a non-profit organization, so collaboration over competition always. And we like to gain formal recognition or build relationships with, the authorities. So whether that be the regulator or the central bank. understanding what the national priorities are, what are their objectives, and then how can CISI fit in and support them in achieving those goals. And that's exactly what we've done with the Capital Market Authority in Rwanda. We then like to partner with other organizations. So I'll definitely touch on this in more detail throughout my presentation, but
Sorry, we lost you. We lost Abby.
hi. At
Okay,
what
you're
point did
back.
you lose me, Josephine? I can just go
Just a
back.
minute. It's okay. It's
Oh,
okay.
okay,
You can
perfect.
continue. Thank
Sure.
you.
Sure. So, yeah, so we've got the formal recognition and the relationships that we like to build with regulatory bodies and central banks, understanding national priorities, what are they trying to work towards, and then how can CISI support in delivering on those objectives. And then we come into the strategic partners. And this is really where we like to collaborate. And, what are the strengths that maybe the local organization has, and what are the strengths that CISI has as an international global body, and how can we bring those two together? I'll definitely speak in more detail about the accredited training partners, but CISI doesn't offer training ourselves. Because we develop all of our qualifications in-house, we see it as a conflict of interest. And so instead, we have an accreditation process where we will give authorization, essentially, and accreditation to local training institutions we can then trust to deliver training. They may be Pan-African, they may be a global organization, or they may be, sat at home there in Kigali. So we've got the accredited training partners. We also work with different stock exchanges, other local professional bodies, whether that be membership bodies or, like the banking associations, for example, and then education partners. So working with schools, universities, colleges. Because if we think on the bigger picture about what's involved in building a sustainable and robust financial services sector, there are so many different stakeholder groups, and CISI can work with a huge array of them, all working towards the same goal. And when it comes to, I'll say the universities, we might look at, embedding CISI's lower level exams into the curriculum or offering them in addition to the degree. And what that means is that, the students themselves are leaving university with a globally recognized professional qualification. So it enhances their competitiveness and their employability. And it's kind of building that pipeline of talent coming out of university. And those people that will then become capital market operators or work within financial services, but also, the investor education piece. You may not be an inspiring financial services practitioner, but you may one day be investing in capital markets. And so it's important to build that pipeline as well from the very early stages. So that's quite a good overview of the sort of the different ways in which CISI can work with local institutions. And then the third part is obviously our clients. So, international firms, local banks, they may want to upskill their staff, or they want to encourage continuous professional development across the organization. I have done some work with mapping certain competency areas for, let's say, relationship managers. And so when we dig into, the skills, it's yes, having the professional qualification that can gain you your license from the regulator, but the skills in, resilience and adaptability and how to handle conflict in the workplace, and, how to utilize AI, and having a general understanding of sustainable investment practices, for example. And so some of the banks may want to build some specific skill sets within their teams, and CISI can help map those competency areas against, let's say, the resources that are available within our digital learning platform, and then help, with the upskilling on an institutional level. So CISI in Africa, and I know that Tapelo has rightly mentioned that, this isn't just something that is being done in Rwanda. CISI actually started working in Africa over 10 years ago with the Capital Market Authority in Kenya. And so that was centered around, their strategic plan to start building and deepening their capital market sector. And so we worked with them to design a regulatory exam that was bespoke to the local market, and we rolled out a certification program very similarly to how we are doing now in Rwanda. And so we apply a tailored framework that aligns with those national priorities and supports human capital development that is essential for sustainable growth. And so CISI has been working closely with the CMA in Kenya, the CMSA in Tanzania, Uganda, and more recently, even Ethiopia, as I'm sure many people on this call are aware that they launched their capital market in January this year. And so we've been working very closely with stakeholders in Ethiopia to help build capacity within their very nascent capital market sector. And so our work is to address skills gaps, develop regulatory exams, and that are then integrated into internationally recognized qualification pathways. I've mentioned the training, so working with local training partners to deliver targeted programs, stakeholder capacity building amongst practitioners, universities, and being a non-for-profit, we have an impact-driven philosophy, I guess, and that then enables us to invest in broader initiatives that build solid foundations for resilient financial services sectors. And so a really good example of that would be something that we've been doing for a number of years now in partnership with Women in Finance Rwanda. And that's all centered around promoting gender parity and professional excellence within Rwanda's financial sector, specifically targeting women to support them. And so, the founding partners of the Women in Finance Rwanda get complimentary access to CISI's membership. We have a Future in Finance scholarship program where under 30s are able to take CISI's exams. So we're offering scholarships for our qualifications, scholarships for our e-learning courses on sustainable investment, and collaboration to, support skills and the career development of women specifically in Rwanda's financial services sector. And it's an initiative that we are very proud of. And the first one we launched, I actually hope to do this in many other African markets, but it was first launched in Rwanda. And so very, very proud of that initiative. So bringing it back now to why we're all here today, and it's to speak about our collaboration with the Capital Market Authority and renewing our partnership. So as a snapshot, what that means is that together we are ensuring market compliance for licensing qualifications. We will be updating the regulatory assessment that is bespoke to the rules, regulations, directives that are issued in Rwanda. And then we will be introducing a mandatory CPD requirement that will be required for license renewal. And I actually had the pleasure of hosting a delegation from Rwanda back in May 2025. And so you'll see Tapelo there right up front next to CISI CEO Tracy Vigru and the CEO of the Kigali International Finance Centre. I know that that's a new appointment. And then many other representatives and stakeholders, both from Rwanda and the UK. And so that was a delegation visit for Kigali International Finance Centre that was centered around the Financial Services Skills Commission. And so they wanted to hear from the UK about how we are addressing skills within the financial services sector. And so we use this as a prime opportunity to sign our MOU. And we've done that at CISI's London HQ. So when I speak about the licensing pathway, there are 3 qualifications that you will be required to take. There's the entry level exam, which is the International Introduction to Securities and Investment. There's the regulatory assessment. And then there will be a third unit, a technical unit. And that one will depend on your specific job function. So, for example, if you are a securities trader, broker, or dealer, then you will take the level 3 securities capital markets exam. If you're in a client-facing role, investment advisor, fund manager, then you would take the international certificate in wealth and investment management. Risk and compliance officer, risk and financial services, corporate finance analyst, dealing with mergers, acquisitions, issuing house representative, you would take the corporate finance technical foundations. And so how we've formulated this really is that the entry exam is providing that baseline knowledge of the global financial services sector, specifically securities and investment. The regulatory unit then is a bespoke regulation exam for Rwanda. And then the third unit is your specialist area. And so that is where you start branching off and building really core skills that are specific to the job that you will be doing. To study for these exams, there are 2 options available. So all of CISI's exams are available via self-study, and CISI will provide all of the materials that are required. So that will include a digital workbook, access to Revision Express, which is sort of like an online revision support questions bank, and of course, sample papers. Your exams can be booked directly with the CISI. The price of the exam varies depending on its length, but you'd be looking at about £170 to £190 per exam. And our recommendation is that you spend 80 to 100 hours per unit over the course of 3 or 4 months. So about 3 to 4 months per exam. Another option is for structured and tutor-led training for a recognized ATP. And so those exams and that training would be booked directly with the chosen partner. I'll be sharing more information on them towards the end. And, they will have flexible delivery models, I guess, that would be tailored to individual groups or organizational needs. And so some may accommodate virtual online-based training or classroom training or a combination of both. And that will be at the discretion of the ATP, and it will be at the choice of the individual or the organization, which partner they go through. And they will have additional training fees applied. The CISI's exams will always remain the same price, whether you go directly through us or whether you use an ATP. But of course, if you're having tutor-led training, there will be additional training fees applied, which the respective training partners will be able to confirm. So to sit your exam, you'll have 2 options. There'll be a physical test centre in Kigali. Upon booking your exam, the address and location and all of the relevant details pertaining to sitting the exam will be confirmed via email upon making that booking. But we also have remote invigilation available. And so what that means is that you can sit the exam at home or even in your office. There are technical and environmental requirements that need to be met, and of course these can be communicated. So for example, where I am right now, I'm in a very small office space. This would be permissible because it's got no distractions, it's quiet, there's no writing on the walls or anything like that. I couldn't take it in the staff kitchen, for example, where my colleagues are coming in and having chats and making coffee throughout the day. At home, you could do it in your living room or, your home office or your bedroom. When we first launched remote invigilation, it was during the pandemic, of course, and so we had to adapt very quickly. And, I've done various different demo exams sitting at home in my bedroom. And so both of them are available and it's completely up to you. All of the exams, however, are conducted via computer-based testing. So whether you go to a test centre or you do the exam at home, it will be done on a laptop or a computer. And they will be multiple choice questions. So MCQ is multiple choice questions. And they would range from 50 to 100. So the international introduction exam is 50 questions. Some of the technical exams are 100 question exams. And so it would be 1 to 2 hours. Upon completing the exam at the test centre, you'll get an instant notification of your result. So it will come up on screen and you'll know straight away whether you passed or failed. And then you'll be able to download your certificate directly from My CISI. So when you register for an exam, you'll get access to the online platform and everything. And so you'll be able to download your certificate directly from our website. So the market certification and competency standards is a requirement for all licensed or approved capital market employees that are dealing directly with clients and trading. The requirement is to sit Unit 1, which is the International Introduction to Securities and Investment, and Unit 3, which is one of the approved technical exams within the transition period. So I know this has been communicated within the market circular, but it starts on the 1st of September 2025, and so you'll have 1 year to comply with those requirements. And certification of both of those exams will be required before license issuance from the CMA. The Rwanda regulatory assessment is currently under review, as I know that there are some developments that we are anticipating. And so we want to incorporate those developments into the regulatory assessment to ensure that it is the most up-to-date and relevant that it can be for the market. And so we'll be working collaboratively with the Capital Market Authority to update and review that when appropriate. And once it has been relaunched, you will have 6 months to complete that assessment. Of course, we will notify you once it's available, and then you'll have 6 months to complete that. So that's where we stand on the qualification side of things. You essentially have 1 year to complete 2 exams and then 6 months to complete the regulatory assessment. Upon the transition period ending, there will be an ongoing obligation to complete an annual CPD requirement through the CISI and with the authority approved programs. And so how you complete CPD then is by joining the CISI as a member. And as I've mentioned, it falls within our second pillar, which is skills. And membership of a chartered body is a marker of professionalism within the financial services sector. And the resources that CISI will be providing you are an award-winning online members magazine that incorporates the latest news, insights, thought leadership pieces that are affecting the profession. Professional Refresher, which is short e-learning courses. They range from about half an hour to 2 hours. And they cover a whole host of different topics. So we're talking like very like technical skills. So they might speak about bonds or, collective investment schemes or tokenization, green bonds, things like that. But there are also tons of content within Professional Refresher to address these skills, so adaptability, presentation skills. We've got a ton of stuff there that relates to ESG and sustainability, and now a lot of content relating to artificial intelligence and these emerging technologies. And so all of that can be accessed through Professional Refresher. And there's over 275 different modules. We also have CISI TV. So CISI runs about 500 plus webinars a year. We do them in partnership with different organizations. We host them solely on our own. Some of them are specific, let's say, to the Middle East or to East Africa, but a lot of them are globally and internationally relevant. And so as a member of the CISI, you will have access to all of those webinars and you can join them live. However, we recognize that we all have very busy schedules and we also live in completely different time zones to each other. And so if you were to be unable to attend an event, you would be able to catch up on demand essentially. So all of our events are recorded and then they are uploaded onto the platform as CISI TV. So it means that you can watch them in your own time as and when you feel like it. All of this content that I have just mentioned is embedded into our digital learning platform. So it's an all-in-one system that gives you access to all of our CPD offerings. It's an intuitive platform, so the more you use it, the more it understands the learner, essentially. So it will learn, if you have a specific preference to professional refresher over CISI TV, or if there are certain topics that you seem to be interested in. So are you more interested in compliance, or are you looking at the wealth management stuff? And so it can plug out content that it thinks that you would be interested in. There are also curated collections on the platform. So in order to steer people in the right place, we have a whole host of different collections available on the platform. And so there'll be a new entrance to financial services collection that might be really good for you if you're a recent graduate or you're pivoting careers and you've only just started working in the sector. A sustainability collection. We have collections to support HR and learning and development managers. We also have leadership collections. So, what kind of skills do future leaders need and how can we start nurturing them? And so you'll find them all in the digital learning platform as well. You're able to create and save your own collections, and you can come back to it. So if you start a professional refresher and you don't have time to finish it, you can pick it up where you left off. And it's all seamlessly integrated across devices. So it's not just your desktop or your laptop. We also have a mobile app, and so you can access all of this directly from your mobile phone as well. So in addition to the CPD that I've mentioned, so the resources that help you obtain the CPD points, as I've mentioned, all on the learning platform, anything that you do with the CISI will be automatically logged onto your CPD scheme. So it will be recorded, it will be evidenced, and it enables you to track your professional development. So especially as this has now become a regulatory requirement, when the regulator needs to ensure that people are meeting that requirement, CISI is able to provide that data to them. And so they'll know exactly who has done what and if they have met or failed their annual requirement. So anything that's done with CISI is done automatically. You don't have to do anything. But there's also the ability to log external CPD as well, directly to this log. So if you attended a conference or took an external qualification, or even, for example, like what I'm doing today would be considered CPD. So once I finish this webinar, I would be able to go onto my CPD log and log this as CPD, because it's not just about what you've learned yourself. You can also get CPD for developing others by. So if you're mentoring somebody, for example, you can log that as CPD. If you're hosting a meeting or a company briefing, all of these things can be considered CPD and you can log them. The great thing about it is, and I can share, I've prepared some materials that I will share with you all after we finish today. But for example, if you're doing a presentation like I am, I not only get to claim the length of time for the presentation itself, I can double it. So if I speak for half an hour or 1 hour today, I can double the length of time that I spoke for and claim that as CPD, because we take into consideration the preparation that went into designing the slides and doing the research and whatever. Being a member of the CISI means that you will be able to utilize membership designations where applicable. And so that enables you to showcase your achievements and increase your competitive edge. And I've mentioned the webinars and the networking. I did just mention mentoring. And so if there is anybody here that would be interested in either becoming a mentor or a mentee, then please do consider using the CISI's mentoring scheme. So we actually have an entire portal that enables you to create an account and, mention what your interest areas are, what you're looking for, what area of financial services that you're working in. And then the platform helps facilitate you with either a mentor or a mentee. And so all of these things are designed to help develop your skills and enhance your career by sharing knowledge and experience. We have professional forums, and then with the chartered status. So with chartered status, it's this progression. You know, you're getting the qualification, you're joining CISI as a member. Most people online will be joining at, let's say, an affiliate or ACSI level. But upon completing CPD on an annual basis, you'll be on the route to chartered. And the annual requirement is 35 hours. There will be 21 hours that are structured and 14 hours that are unstructured. And what that means is that structured CPD is something that can be clearly evidenced and that has distinct learning objectives and learning outcomes. But we do enable a leeway there with something that might not be as formal. So, you know, if you were to read the Financial Times or listen to a podcast that was relevant to the financial services sector, but there was no way that you could evidence that you listened to that podcast, you could still log it as CPD. I think a really good example of the difference between structured and unstructured would be going back to the CISI TV. And so, you know, you could log on to the learning platform and watch a CISI TV episode, and that would automatically log as unstructured CPD. At the end of each CISI TV episode, there is a very, very short test. If you complete the test, the CPD turns from unstructured to structured, because it's your way of proving and evidencing that you did actually watch the CISI TV episode and that you've taken in that information. And so the entry point to chartered status will depend on the membership grade and the qualification that you join at. CPD must be logged consecutively. And so with consistent CPD, members can achieve chartered MCSI status within a maximum of 5 years. So you may join as an affiliate or you may join as an ACSI member and utilize the designatory letters. But by completing 35 hours of CPD each year, which is what the regulator has mandated for everybody, within 5 years, you'll be able to upgrade and you'll be a chartered MCSI, which is like the highest level of membership you can be. It's the pinnacle of professionalism. It's a way of demonstrating to your employer, to your clients, to the regulator that you have progressed and that you're now a chartered member of a global professional body. And it's something to be incredibly inspiring and something that, you know, we should all be working towards. So there will be time for questions. I appreciate that that is a lot of information to take in. So I thought it might be useful just to share what the next steps might be for further information or the right contact details. So I would say for individual queries, we have a designated customer support inbox set up, which is cisi.africa@cisi.org. And that would be for, you know, general inquiries to book your exam or any support that might be needed. I would recommend that if you are a business, an institution, and you want to inquire about training and skills development across the organization or potential partnership inquiries, then reach out to me directly. So that's my email address there. It's abby.cornish@cisi.org. And then on the right-hand side of the screen is a list of our accredited training partners and their contact details. I will share my presentation slides, so you will all have a copy of this anyway, so don't worry about writing them down or, you know, if you can't catch them. But yeah, we have Exam Ready, which is one of our premier training partners. He's based in South Africa, but trains across the continent, has done a lot of training in East Africa, in West Africa, and down in the southern part of the continent as well. Premier Capital is based in Kenya, but has done a lot of training. I think even has previously trained in Kigali and in Rwanda as well. And then we have Cornerstone and Lithium. So that will be the end of my presentation. I'd like to say thank you very much for having me, for listening, and I guess I'm hand over back to you, Josephine, and if there are any questions, then I'd be more than happy to take them. Thanks again.
Oh, thank you, Abby. I tried to summarize, but I think the presentation has been very rich with information. And since you're going to share the slides, there's no need of going through. So without further ado, we will welcome questions. We can see from the chat, someone is asking how many exams, and I think this is something that you touched on. For Rwanda, we have the first entry exam, and then we have the one that deals with the discipline that people are dealing with, and the regulatory exam will come when the curriculum is ready, because right now it is being updated. And I think Paul, is it Rurangirwa you answered? We believe so.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we welcome questions. Over to you, the audience. Laban Kiza is asking, hi, how can we get scholarship from any institutions? And from the presentation that Abby gave, I noted that there are scholarships that are being awarded through Women in Finance under 30. So this is an opportunity that the audience should grab for people that are women and under 30, maybe. If there's anything else, maybe Abby, you can also add if any scholarship opportunities on, okay.
Can I
You
ask a
want?
question or do I need to type it?
It's okay, it's
No,
okay. You
please.
can go on, Edmond.
Hi, Abby. Yes, so I'm actually a certified financial planner, a member of the Financial Planning Institute in South Africa, and I've recently set up in Rwanda. So just wondering, is there going to be any equivalency with some of these already industry benchmark qualifications at international level? If so, what would those exemptions look or equivalency look like, or would there be any exemptions for people like myself, or would I still have to take these regulatory qualifications?
So typically, from where CISI is concerned, we do offer exemptions. We usually only offer one exemption per qualification pathway. I'm imagining if you're a certified financial planner, you would definitely be applicable to receive an exemption from the entry-level exam. Perhaps by way of follow-up, Edmund, I can share, we do have a table of the external qualifications that we recognize. So I'm aware we could have CFA holders in the market, ACCA holders, certified financial planners, and things like that. So in terms of, let's say, the entry level one, CISI would recognize. I think if we're looking at the regulatory assessment, I can't speak on behalf of the regulator. At the end of the day, CISI isn't a regulator, we're a professional body. But I think if you need to build skills and be aware of the regulatory environment of Rwanda, then that one would absolutely still be necessary. I think even if I had UK financial regulation exam, but I wanted to move to Rwanda, I would still need to know what the local regulatory frameworks were. And then the security or the technical unit is very, very specific to job function. So I will share information on the exemptions available, but I mean, without seeing a certificate, I can't confirm 100%, but it seems to me that you would at least be able to apply for an exemption from that entry level paper, Edmund. And also, when it comes to membership, actually, I touched on the fact that there are different membership grades. So the affiliate level membership is available to either new entrants to financial services or people who are yet to go through any professional certification or recognized certification. The ACSI level membership, which is the next one, is typically for people who have achieved a level 3 or level 4 qualification. And then MCSI is for somebody who might hold a level 6 or level 7. And so you may find that your financial planning certificate meets the requirements to be an MCSI. So I would encourage that everybody joins at the appropriate level. And of course, we wouldn't want you taking exams that were unnecessary. So I will add a note to ensure that I pass that information over not only to the CMA, but everyone who joined today.
Okay, thank you, Abby. I'll
You're
certainly be in
welcome.
touch for other personal stuff. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you so much, Edmund.
Sure.
I think we've got a number of questions coming in the chat. So I think the question we have here, I have a CISI level 2 fundamental financial services. Will we be allowed to continue on to other levels? So absolutely yes. So the fundamentals of financial services exam actually is our sort of like financial literacy based exam. It's the one we typically offer to school leavers, colleges, universities, and that is a great qualification. I think if there's any education organizations on here that want to discuss that in any level of detail, I would encourage you to get in touch. But the next step, that entry level exam, the international introduction, there are no entry requirements. So you can definitely come straight through and book onto that entry level exam. How many units do I need to pass for getting qualifications? So as a rule of thumb, the pass mark for CISI's exams, particularly the ones that we are speaking of, is 70%. So it's not done based on units. They will be treated individually. So international introduction exam, you book it, you revise, you take it. 70% is what you need to pass the exam. And then the same applies to all of the others. I think just to be very clear to everybody online, there are 3 exams that sit within the qualifications pathway. The entry and the technical unit, you will need to sit and pass from the 1st of September 2025 to September 2026. The CMA alongside CISI will notify you all when the regulatory assessment becomes available, and then you'll have 6 months. So you can treat them as 2 separate things, but they form one pathway together. For the women in scholarship under 30, is there a specific person to be contacted? Yeah, so Lisa, do feel free to reach out to me directly, and then I will put you in touch with the relevant contacts at Women in Finance if that's something that you'd be interested in exploring. What are the requirements for new entrants, and are we having the chances to be chosen for scholarship opportunities? So the requirements are the same for everybody. If you're newly entering the sector, then I think you're coming at a good time because you'll be starting off at the entry level exam. So you'll be doing the exact same as everybody else. At the moment, we have the Women in Finance initiative, but there are no wider scholarship opportunities. I believe that it's something that is definitely worth considering and something that the CMA and CISI can pick up and explore. But at the moment, there isn't a scholarship opportunity available for the wider market. So when you are studying for your qualifications, you will get access to student membership for 1 year for free. Upon completing your exams and joining as a full member, you will need to pay for your membership on an annual basis. And we have another question here. Are there opportunities for men, specifically scholarships? Not at current, no. We are working with Women in Finance Rwanda to support women in the financial services sector, but there's nothing specifically targeted for men. How much is the annual payment for a member? So CISI discounts our qualifications and our membership actually by 50% for everybody in Rwanda. I believe Off the top of my head, the annual membership fee is about 81, 82 pounds. Yes, it absolutely will be valid. So if you have already taken one of the exams that we have mentioned today that form the qualifications pathway, then there will be no need to resit it. It doesn't expire, provided, that I think is it Rona that's asked that question. If you need help accessing your certificate or your login or anything like that, then please contact the support inbox and they'll be able to send you a password reset link, and then you'll be able to log in, and then you can download your certificate and you'll be able to prove to the regulator that you've had already sat that exam. So if you've already taken it, you do not need to take it again. It will still be valid. And for your membership, unless if it's expired, you'll need to just rejoin. So again, that will be a case of contacting CISI Africa and they will support you through that process. I think we've got a question here that might be best placed, Josephine, for the regulator to address. It's from Philip.
Yeah, thank you. I saw that. And I think, Philip, the requirement for CISI starts in 1 year. So whatever applications that are in place, I think they're exempted up to the full year, end August 2026. So yeah, that's it. Someone else is asking, Abby, how many
Sure.
units to go through for certificate as a fund manager?
So there are 3 units for everybody, depending on what your specialist area is. So everybody in the market must take the entry-level exam and the regulatory assessment, regardless. The 3rd unit is where you then branch off into your specialist area. And so for fund management, it will be the International Certificate in Wealth and Investment Management. If you're a securities broker, it will be the securities exam. So it's 3 exams for everybody. 2 are the same. And then the 3rd one is where you branch off into your specialist area. And you'll follow the chart that I showed you. It will also be on the material that I'll share following this call. But if there are any concerns or you're not sure of which direction to take, then between myself, Josephine, and the Capital Market Authority, we will be able to guide you in the right direction. I'm not sure if that question is, can anyone sit for the exam or can you sit the exam at any time? So I will just answer both. Anyone can sit the exams, and the exams are available all throughout the year. So the only thing that will matter is availability of sessions at the test centre, but there aren't, specific months in the year where the exams are sat. You can sit them all throughout the year.
Yeah, I see Philip's hand is up. I think, is your
Yep.
hand still up, Phil? You okay?
Yes, it is. Just a follow-up question. Thank you very much, Abby and Juliet. I did have a question. Most other markets will, for alternative investment fund managers, will have exemptions because depending on the size of the fund and the structure, for those that are doing more syndicate or smaller funds, I think with Noella we had earlier when we were discussing part of what to go into the capital markets law, we had as a body we had suggested exemptions for fund managers that have got alternative investment strategies or as below a certain fund size. I wanted to find out whether this would apply, because to go through this for something where we are pulling together resources from sophisticated investors, is there going to be that requirement that even for fund managers? I think in the UK there is now a new regulation that for fund sizes of VC funds or PE funds that are under a certain size and different strategies that are not necessarily market facing. So I want to get your thoughts from the CMA as well.
Abby, you're taking that?
I think that's a question better placed for the regulator,
Yes, it
Josephine.
was me to the regulator.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, regarding which exemptions will be like placed for people applying, I think the best way to touch this is at the application level, or maybe
Yeah.
like, yeah, because right now we wouldn't say like we wouldn't have a list of people that are going to be exempted or not. I don't think I'll be in the best position to say that right now. But since we have enough time from when this is going to be a requirement, I think everything will be taken care of in time. Thank you. Is that okay, Philip?
Yeah, that's fine. It was just really a case of understanding what that process is, because for in nascent markets like ours, getting early stage emerging fund managers to come through, having the requirements of a larger PE or asset manager on smaller funds, sort of the cost is it becomes quite the cost of maintaining the license or maintaining that requirements. It's just how that would be managed going forward. That's really what where we're coming from.
All right. Thank you. Someone is asking, are credit rating agencies concerned for which staff members? I don't think this is regulated by CMA. So if anything does not concern CMA as a regulator, I don't see it coming through as a requirement this side. I stand to be corrected. Thank you.
There was a question just before that one, Josephine. I'm happy to take this one on CISI exams requiring finance or economy background. No. So the beauty actually about CISI is that the qualifications can be taken almost as building blocks. So we have a qualification that somebody mentioned in a question, the level 2 fundamentals exam. That's something, as I said, we offer to young people. So we're offering that out in schools, colleges, universities, or maybe even, very recent graduates. The international introduction exam is a level 3, but it is an introduction exam introducing the core concepts of the global financial services sector, securities, bonds, investment schemes, and the like, ethical practices. And you do not need to have any prerequisite. You don't even need to have studied a financial services degree, finance degree, or anything of the such to take that qualification. And it's about building up. So we start at the entry level because CISI has been doing this for a long time now. We understand that introducing new requirements and qualifications to the market needs to be done sustainably. So it's not that you wake up one day to a market circular and you need to take 3 exams within the space of 3 months. 1 year to be compliant to 2 exams is enough time. We start with the international introduction exam to build a solid foundation of knowledge. And then that's when you move into the more specialist areas. So you absolutely don't need to have a finance or economy background.